What's up, everybody? I'm Charles McBee. Welcome back to my channel. Appreciate you guys for tapping in with me. I'm really going to build this channel up, and I appreciate you guys for helping me out from the ground up. If you would like to contribute to the building or the foundation of this channel, just give a subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Tell a friend, comment, like, all those good things. All right, this particular video I'm continuing with my lessons from 40 series, and I think this time I want to focus on finances, things that I learned prior to 40 that I'm glad I learned prior to my 40s, or things that I wish I had known prior to my 40s. I'm gonna mix them all up. I'm not necessarily going, I don't know what order I'm going in, so we'll just see as it goes. But that's what we're talking about now. First, I'm gonna start with gambling versus investing. Gambling does not equal investing. That's one thing I definitely learned before my 40s, and I'm glad that I did. But when I was younger, I thought buying a scratch off was building a portfolio. Like some people got stocks and bonds. I got this $5 Lucky 7 straight from the corner store. But gambling is not investing. Playing the lottery is basically paying a poor tax on my imagination. And there's no judgment. Don't get me wrong. I still will play a Powerball. Do not get it twisted. But there's a difference between going, you know what? I'm playing to lose. All right. I'm putting this money aside because I know I'm gonna lose it, and having that mindset and just going, you know what? This is a little fun, just a little what if, and set it and forget it, versus I'm betting it all. Sorry, Junior. Your college fund is going all in on this Powerball ticket. Mortgage, we putting it in the pot and we betting it on 7. That is not the move. And that's something that I definitely had to learn the hard way. But I'm glad I did it at a younger age. I remember one time, oh my God. I was at this street fair or whatever. This wasn't even a casino. I wasn't even in Vegas, Atlantic City, nothing. I was in Harlem. And I just stopped at this. It was going through the street fair or whatever. And it was, I forget what the game even was. I don't even know what the game was. I just know the way the dude played me. He saw Screw, and remember the cartoons? Screwball? That's what he saw. A donkey, jackass. That's what he saw. A big giant lollipop above my head. And he explained the game so simple. All you have to do is just pick a number and blah, blah, blah. And I won the first 2 times. I won money. So of course I'm thinking, oh, I'm about to go in. That third time, lost it all. And I was like, and I forget how much I lost. It might have been $100 or something like that. But first of all, I didn't have $100 to lose. But I said, oh, I'm gonna get it right back. Next thing I know, $50 in a hole. Or I'm gonna get it right back. Double it. Couple $100 in a hole. $300 in a hole. Now I'm pissed. My dumb butt, I'm finding an ATM to go to get more money out so I can come back and win this money back. By the time I was done, I was about $400, $500 in a hole. Now you might say, oh, that's nothing. I was 20-something, a struggling open mic stand-up comedian living in New York City. I did not have $500 to lose, but I did. That from that day on, that cured any gambling itch I had from that moment on. Oh no, not me. I'm good. I am Gucci. What's wild is I was on my way to work. That was a sad day, but I never forget how that made me feel. First of all, like a jackass. Second of all, I was like, never again. That cured me. So I'm glad I learned that lesson then instead of later on, where, I know I got friends, I know people, I know comics, I know just people in general that had to learn that lesson, a way more expensive lesson than that $500 I lost that day. I know we've heard this statistic before, but when it comes to playing like the Powerball, you got a 1 in 292 million chance of winning. Let me put that in perspective. That's about the odds of your trifling friend paying you back for that $40 they borrowed in 1998. That's about the odds of Kris Jenner going, you know what? I don't think we need cameras in the room this time. And now that I'm a professional comedian, I work casinos. And let me tell you something, when I get to that casino, I have every intention on going home with the money that I made that day, or that weekend. Oh, I'm coming home with the money. I got plenty of friends that go for a gig, and by the time they leave, they end up owing them money. I don't even bring girls with me. Like if I'm dating somebody or whatever, I don't even bring them with me if I'm going for work, unless we planning it as a vacation. Like this is gonna be a vacation. It is what it is. Cool. But when I go to the casino for work, to perform, that's to perform. I'm coming home with my check. And trust me, I know it's fun to dream. I get it. I do it. It's fun to dream. We all have that daydream where we dream about hitting the numbers. What we gonna do? First thing I'm gonna do is quit my job. I'm gonna buy my mama a house. Then I'm gonna hire somebody just to follow me around and keep my phone charged. I get it. I've been there. But just be clear that that's not a financial plan. That is a fantasy. Investing, on the other hand, is boring. I will give you that. Boring looks like buying a low-cost index fund, putting some money in it every month, and then ignoring it for the next 20 years. But boring makes you rich. Listen, I doubt there's too many people flexing at brunch talking about some, you know what's sexy? Compound interest. I get that, but trust me, 65-year-old you is going to be very turned on by it. That brings me to another thing. This is another thing I wish I had learned earlier. I did learn it prior to my 40s, which I'm glad about. But this was like in my late 30s. I wish I had learned this earlier. Invest early. The earlier, the better. Even if it's just in the S&P 500. If I had just put a few dollars into the S&P 500 when I was like in my early 20s, Lord have mercy, Father God. I'd be sitting on some real money right now. If you're not familiar with the S&P 500, is pretty much investing into the top 500 corporations in America. Apple, Disney, whatever, all the top. You put money in a pot and it gets divided up into all those corporations. And here's the math on how it goes. Over the last 50 years, the S&P 500 has averaged about 10% on annual returns. Translation, if you're 20 and you put about $100 in a month, by the time you turn 40, you're sitting on about $80,000. $80,000. When you in your 20s, you're not putting money into the market, you putting money into Jordans and 2-for-1 happy hours. Guess which one appreciates in value? Spoiler alert, not the vodka cranberry. Even if you go back just a few years and look at the club prices, you can see the inflation in real time. Back then, a $300 section was flexing. Now you need $1,500 just to sit next to a velvet rope and wonder why your feet hurt. Meanwhile, that $300 back then, if invested into the S&P, would have grown into a nice little nest egg. And as expensive as eggs is today, you know that's a good chunk of change. Moral of the story, Jordans look good and ain't nothing wrong with having them or rocking them or whatever your version of Jordans is. But compound interest look better at retirement. Another thing I'm glad I learned prior to my 40s is that I learned to limit my vices. I ain't really drink that much. I don't really do drugs like that. Turns out when it comes to saving money, it is hip to be a square. Again, I'm not saying don't have fun, but I think about how much money I save by not doing certain things nonstop, like going out and spending money on alcohol, especially in a city like New York City. I've lived in New York City since 2007. You look at some of these prices at the bar, you think you was investing in real estate. $20 cocktails with names like Dragon Breath. No, I ain't got next round. In places like New York, Miami, LA, you could end up spending your rent money trying to impress a bartender who don't even look at you when you tip them. Again, I'm not saying don't go out. I'm not saying don't have fun. I'm not saying don't grab a drink. I'm not saying don't socialize or don't, a lot of business deals happen over some drinks. Like, all of that is cool. I'm not saying none of that. I'm just saying moderation. I'm just saying it can affect your pocketbook severely if you're not careful. Truth is, sobriety is cheap, not sexy, not wild, but cheap. A lot of times, boring and broke don't go together. So if I gotta choose, I'll take boring and solvent every time. Again, I'm not saying don't have fun, but when you sober up and see how much you spent the night before. The next thing I'm glad I learned prior to my 40s was I learned how to make sure that more money is coming in than going out. I think living in New York City really helps with that a lot, because it's so expensive to live here that you really got to make sure that you got a roof over your head. I mean, it sounds obvious, but it's amazing how many people have not learned this. If you spend more than you make, you are not living your best life. You are auditioning for bankruptcy. And with me being a stand-up comedian, I'm out on the weekends. Coming up, there was many a Friday nights where I was at the crib with a frozen pizza, sharing a Netflix password. It was definitely survival over swag. I don't need to keep up with the Joneses, because guess what? The Joneses is broke too. They just got better lighting for their Instagram posts. You think you're losing because a BMW isn't sitting in your driveway, or you ain't somewhere vacationing in Bali. Oh no, you are winning because Navient doesn't know your address. Oh, trust me, if Navient doesn't know your address, you are winning, my friend. Flexing is expensive, but humility is free. And every time you try to look rich, you just donating money to Visa, MasterCard, and Amex, aka the real Illuminati. So yeah, living below your means may not get you likes, but it'll get you sleep at night. And if you ever get tempted to show out financially, just remember, the Joneses ain't paying your credit card bills. They too busy dodging their own. This is something I wish I had learned prior to my 40s. Credit card points do not equal good credit. Don't let Chase fool you. Credit card points are cute. They are not financial freedom. Good credit is. Oh, I wish I had known this in college. What predatory. The way they prey on you in college. You show up on campus at 18, hardly fresh off suckling on your mother's teeth. And there they are, lined up, a whole row of credit cards. They throwing at you with gifts and treasures. And you have no clue. Nobody taught you. They didn't teach you in school. For all you know, free money. Nothing but a bunch of predators. If it was up to me, Chris Hansen should show up to college campuses. And when these credit card people is trying to get these kids to sign up, he should just look at them and go, come here, have a seat. To catch a financial predator, you had to learn. Your points can get you a free flight to Orlando. If you book it 9 months in advance, fly on a Tuesday at 5 a.m. and pray the airline doesn't accidentally bump you for a family of 4. That's not wealth. That is a scavenger hunt. What I learned in my 40s is that good credit is the real cheat code. You can't walk into no dealership and go, I ain't got no credit, but I do have 50,000 airline miles. They'll laugh you right out the building. Same with the landlord or real estate agent. Hey, listen, I don't meet the income requirements, but can I pay my rent and Starbucks gift cards for my Amex? The reality is good credit gets you everything. Lower interest rates, better loan approvals, even cheaper car insurance. Bad credit, that'll have you financing a 2012 Nissan Altima with payments higher than a daggone Tesla. And the worst part is points expire. Good credit doesn't. Imagine explaining to your kids, sorry, can't afford college. Daddy once got a free trip to Fort Lauderdale. So yeah, I learned to stack those miles if you want, but don't confuse them with making money moves. They not the same. Because when Chase is done counting your rewards, the only real reward you need is a credit score that starts with 7 or 8. Here's something else that I learned in my 30s. It's to have a rainy day fund. Emergencies happen, and in America, everything is an emergency. And that's not even a political statement. I'm not blaming one side over another side. I'm just telling you flat. That's just how it is over here. It's expensive to live here, no matter where you are. Jobs are low and inflation is high. So any little thing can turn into a financial emergency. Your car breaks down. Your tooth breaks down. Your job breaks down. All in the same week. Just ask Dame Dash. According to the Federal Reserve, nearly 40% of Americans can't recover from a $400 emergency without having to sell something or borrowing. That's pretty much like playing life Jenga with your life savings. So yeah, I learned that savings ain't an option, it's an armor. Because without savings, a small problem turns into a full-blown crisis. Flat tire, that's a GoFundMe. Root canal, that's a Facebook Cash at me y'all post. Laid off, suddenly you Googling how much plasma can a human donate in a week. Sometimes that money be burning a hole in your pocket. It don't always feel good to put $50 away in a rainy day fund. But you know what does feel good? When that rainy day come and you can handle that situation without drowning in credit card debt. And I know that times are tough for everybody. I mean, people have families, people have situations where it's just really hard to save. Everything's expensive and the job market is trash. So I don't say this flippantly. But that's why I had to learn how to go without certain luxuries early on, just so I'd be able to build up that nest egg a little bit. Because basically, here's how it works. Credit card debt is borrowed armor. Savings is your own armor. And when life starts punching you in the chest, it's a lot easier to take those hits when you ain't bare-chested with nothing but good vibes and Klarna payments. I just look at that as a part of life. Emergencies are going to come whether I like it or not. The only question is, when the rain comes, am I going to be under a Costco tent or a Dollar Tree poncho? Another thing that I learned prior to my 40s is that family planning ain't cheap. I don't have kids yet. I looked at the math long time ago. And for me particularly, you look at the fact that I live in New York City and I was an aspiring comedian for many years, which means I made no money. And raising a child in the US costs an estimated $310,000 from birth to age 18. And that ain't even counting college. That's just diapers, sneakers, iPads, camp, whatever. One week is light up hover shoes. The next week is some glow slime subscription box that lasts for 3 days. Yeah, I love kids. Some of my friends have kids. I got little cousins and stuff like that. I'll do a cuckoo, cuckoo, a peekaboo here and there. Buy an occasional balloon at the grocery store. But as for now, I just wave from a distance. I mean, honestly, raising kids in this economy is like trying to buy a Monopoly house with actual money. Every time you try to take a step forward, somebody hits you with a $500 oops. Your toddler just learned TikTok tax. Now, let's keep it a buck. Having kids don't just cost money, it costs sleep, sanity, patience. 3 things I've been collecting like rare Pokemon cards, and I wasn't willing to trade lightly. And look, there are definitely benefits to having kids earlier. As a guy, I know that I'm able to, wait a little longer. It's just what it is. Biology is what it is. And I understand that. And look, at this rate, in the words of Gary Owen, I might be there for draft day, but I won't be there when they get into the Hall of Fame. So yeah, there is a part of me that would have loved to have had kids by now and hopefully enjoy that lineage, grandkids and great grandkids. I grew up with my great grandparents. I mean, that was a blessing for me. I would have loved to be able to do that as well, but it is what it is. I had to make that decision. I wasn't willing to sacrifice at the time my dream of trying to build the life that I have right now. So, and also just knew that by the time I did have a family, I wanted to be able to support them in the way that I want to be able to support them. Now, families make it work all the time, so I'm sure that I would have done the same. But that is a decision that I decided to make. Kids is expensive. So for now, I'm fine with being a cool distant cousin that hands out candy at 9 p.m. on Halloween and then disappears into the night. It's better for everybody. One thing I'm glad I learned now, but I kind of wish I learned sooner, was to don't flex what you ain't got. That Gucci belt does not build wealth. That car depreciates the moment you buy it off the lot. Unless you lease it and put it in your daggone LLC or S Corp or family trust or something. Slap a bumper sticker on it with your logo. Put it in your TikTok videos. Something so you could write that bad boy off. Otherwise, that thing gonna depreciate faster than you could say 0% APR. That bottle of Ace of Spades you popped last weekend, congratulations. You just funded Jay-Z's S&P 500 contribution. By the time you reach your 40s, you realize that wealth whispers, broke hollers. It don't need to have fancy watches unless it's an investment watch. Wealth doesn't need to show up on Instagram. I don't need loud chains or fancy sneakers. Them days is done. Yeah, flex and feel good in the moment until you wake up and realize you living in a metaphorical glass house of debt. And the people with quiet accounts, they just sipping coffee, smiling, silently laughing at everybody else's overdraft alerts. So this is what I've learned in my 40s. Buy what you need, invest what you can, and let your money do the talking. Because the only thing worse than being broke is being broke and loud about it. Listen, money is a tool, not a trophy. The sooner you learn that, the better off you'll be, and the less likely you are to be making what I would do if I won the lottery TikToks. If you like anything I talked about, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like anything I talked about, please like, share, and subscribe. It goes a long way to help build the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video.